Here I am again, talking to the camera about animals, but more importantly, things that animal products contain. So over the months since I've become vegan, I have talked about the welfare of animals in the meat, dairy and egg industries, trying to spread awareness so that I could try and help the animals by influencing more people to adopt a more plant-based diet for them. But obviously it's not working because it's such an uncomfortable subject, it's such an uncomfortable truth for people to witness that they'd rather continue to bury their head in the sand, turn a blind eye and continue on with their social norms and habits because it's easier for them. And they also think that consuming animal products is better for them. What I want to talk about now is just how wrong that is. That is propaganda, lies told by people who profit from the meat, dairy and egg industries so that you would continue to give them more money. These hugely profiting companies do not care about your health. They do not care about the animals, that is fact. And they really do not care about the environment. I'm not speaking here as a vegan. I'm speaking here about all of the facts and figures, all of the data that I've learned over the last couple of months about how bad consuming animals is for the environment and for our own health. One of the biggest lies that likes to be spread is that vegans are causing deforestation and crop deaths because of the amount of plants we're consuming. If I was to specifically talk about soy is used to make things like tofu. It's used in a lot of plant-based alternatives. You get soy milk as well. So yeah, soy production does cause deforestation and amounts to a lot of crop deaths. But 76% of all soy production goes towards animal feed, the animals that humans end up consuming themselves. 76%. Only 7% of all soy production goes to plant-based alternatives. That's one of my favourite facts to share with people. This is because of the sheer amount of animals that are forcefully bred into existence just for human consumption. And the only way I can put into words just to how many animals are forcefully bred into existence just for human consumption is this, right? This is another fact. If we killed humans at the same rate we eat animals, then humans would be extinct in 2.5 weeks. So you think about how many humans there are on the planet. If we killed them at the same rate that we killed farm animals, we'd be extinct in 2.5 weeks. Does that not blow your mind? That's another fact I love to share. So hopefully these two facts, that one and the fact about soy production, can help put into perspective just one part of how bad consuming animals is for the environment. That's just one aspect of it. I haven't even talked about how much more water use and carbon emissions it takes to breed and produce these animals in the first place. Like, that is colossally higher than any plant-based alternatives, than any plant-based foods at all. Cows are obviously one of the most exploited animals on the planet because we use them for their milk as well as their flesh. And there are approximately 36 million cows killed globally every year. 2.8 million of those in the UK killed every year for their flesh and for their milk. Now, we know how bad cows are for the environment because of the amount of methane that they produce. They're big animals. They are big animals. And there needs to be so many of them because of how popular beef and cow's milk is. Because, like us, a cow's pregnancy is 9 months and they typically only give birth to one baby at a time, just like us. What about our health? So we're told that we need the protein in animals to live. That is good for us. It keeps us healthy and strong and all that stuff, right? Red meat is a carcinogen. It has been linked to causing cancer. Processed meat, so like your beef burgers, your sausages, your bacon, that is a group A carcinogen. So consuming processed animal flesh is as bad for you in terms of the high risk of it causing cancer as tobacco and asbestos. And apparently a contraceptive pill has been found to also be a class A carcinogen. So glad I never touched contraceptive pills. But yet I think that has been information shared over the years that meat is linked to causing cancer. And we also know it's high in saturated fat, it's high in cholesterol, so it increases your risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease as well. Like, we know that all of this is linked to animal flesh. So why do we keep consuming it? Well, it's because animal products are cheaper than plant-based alternatives. They are cheaper, and I've only recently learned why that is. Not only are animals treated in a way to maximize profit as much as possible, kept in cages, kept indoors, killed at such a young age, killed inhumanely. They save money by not using anesthesia, things like that. All of that is to maximize profits, but also the government bails out these industries all the time, so that prices stay low. Most of the country can't afford plant-based alternatives. They can't afford to be healthier. They can only afford these cheap processed animal flesh. So then they get ill from this animal flesh, and then what that happens is that we are giving money to the other companies that produce medicine. So then we have to then pay for our own treatment. So we're giving money to those other big companies that help treat us for these illnesses that we're getting from consuming all the animal products. It's just a whole cycle of taking people's money. All of these big companies, they don't care about animals, they don't care about the environment, they don't care about our health. All they care about is making money. Now I want to get on to cow's milk. One of the biggest lies, one of the biggest debunked myths about cow's milk. It's full of calcium. It gives you strong and healthy bones. Children, this breaks my heart. Children are encouraged, like after weaning, are encouraged to drink cow's milk, to have bottlefuls of it because of the calcium content, because of how good it is. Yes, milk does contain calcium. That is a fact. But it also contains animal protein. And the amino acids in animal protein contain high proportions of sulfur. And sulfur, would you believe it, is very acidic. And so people who consume large amounts of cow's milk, what happens is their body has to try and find a way to neutralize this acidity. And how they do that is they leach calcium from the bones of the body in order to neutralize this acidity. So this is like the biggest irony about cow's milk, about how it's advertised as being so good for you because of the calcium content, when actually the reason why people later on in life get things like arthritis and osteoporosis, and why so many people in later life develop hip fractures. And I should know this because I've worked in care for 10 plus years. I know how brittle and frail the elderly bones are. We just put it down to old age. But what if it's not just that? What if it's because of the high amounts of cow's milk that people have consumed all of their years? I'm getting all of these facts about cow's milk from this really comprehensive study that was made. It was conducted over 12 years, and it was based on 78,000 women aged between 34 and 59. It was a 12-year Harvard Nurses Health Study. This study found that those who consumed high amounts of cow's milk broke more bones. Since learning about this study, since learning about all of these facts, I've looked at my time being a carer in a nursing home, and I see so many of my residents have to be given these calcium supplements. It's like these little chewy tablets. Why do so many of the elderly need to have calcium supplements if they also consume so much calcium, so much animal milk? A lot of the supplements that they have that contain high levels of protein, they are all milk-based products. Care homes, the elderly consume so much dairy. when actually it's the dairy that's causing them to break bones, to have arthritis, to get hip fractures. And I know, because so many of my residents, they're walking around, all I need to do is fall once. They get a hip fracture, and a lot of the time they can't walk again. That's it. That's them done. So many of my residents are not able to walk. They're not able to get about as easily as they want to. You know, some of my residents really want to be able to walk. You know, a lot of people, they forget how to walk because of dementia, or they just don't care and they just want everyone to do everything for them. But some people, some of my residents, some people I've known over the years, they want to be able to walk, they want to be able to mobilise, but they can't. I try and stand some people up and you can hear their bones creaking, you can hear it. And after all these years, I finally learned that a huge contributor to this could be cow's milk. It's like a mind blown moment. So yeah, I really wanted to put this in a video because this is huge for me. This is a big part of my life right now. This is what's going on in my life right now, is I'm learning all of this stuff. This isn't vegan propaganda. This isn't about being a vegan. This is about how bad animal products are for people, and just burying our heads in the sand and turning a blind eye and continuing on with social norms and habits. All these studies come out all the time. All this research is done on everything, and new information is coming out all the time about so many things. Things can change. What was once considered to be good for us, so many things were once considered good for us are now not considered good for us. You know, there used to be practices that our grandparents did when they had a newborn baby that would now be considered really unsafe to do so. Things change, things adapt, things are outdated, new research is always done, and it's just really important to spread this new information, spread these facts and figures, just to try and help people to wake up, basically. I'm so freaking glad that most of the milk that Emily consumes is plant-based milk. She likes oat milk, yeah? I'm so glad about that. Plant-based alternatives are fortified with protein and calcium and B12 and iron and all of that stuff. They're all fortified with all of that. Being on a plant-based diet is not just good for the animals. It's good for you. It's good for the environment. It's so good for the environment. But it's also good for your health. Plant-based burgers do not have cholesterol. They don't have high saturated fats. They're not a group A carcinogen. And they don't contain animal cruelty. Why on God's green earth, with all of this information and with all of the varieties of plant-based alternatives that are out there, why are you watching this? Why are you still reaching for the animal products? Why? When you know all this information, why are you still reaching for it? Ask yourself that. Genuinely, ask yourself that. Out of habit, social norms. That's all it is. You're burying your head in the sand. You don't want to know all about the bad stuff. You don't want to know about it. That is the reason. Wake up. Do it for yourself. Do it for your children, for future generations. Do it for the planet. Do it for the animals. Choose plant-based. Please. Please.